Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, a shake up in the AL East. Looks like the Baltimore Orioles ownership will change hand. The team is supposedly being sold for $1.725 billion. I'll give you the background on the new ownership group and kind of what the implication is. This is for the New York Yankees. Seems like this new group, probably gonna be spending some more money. Again, Baltimore been very quiet in terms of bringing in new free agent talent. Well, that might come to a change there. So, give you the background on all that, as well as introduce a new Yankee. Again, Cashman's been doing a lot of these kind of, I call it Dollar Tree or bargain basement moves, and kind of just bringing a lot of underscript players, getting players off the waiver wires, a lot of minor league deals. Well, we do have a new Yankee has come via this way. His name is Matt Gage, but turns out he might actually be a little bit better than we expected, than the typical Dollar Tree move there. And I got another familiar face will be back, Greg Allen, has got a bit of a funky contract, a couple of nuances, and I'll kind of share that as well. So we'll get into the whole thing. We're ready now in February, a couple of weeks away from players reporting spring training. We've got the all spring training to go, and of course then we finally get into the 2024 season. So kind of seems like a flash since we last left off last year in 2023. So we'll get into all that stuff, but make sure you subscribe to the podcast, get in tune for the whole season. Get these little reports, get some Yankee history, a lot of cool stuff. So make sure to be a podcast subscriber and go over to the YouTube channel, Section 420 Talkin Yankees there as well. Get the video version of the show, lots of entertainment, cover it all, subscribe to everything. So as I mentioned at the top, Baltimore Orioles ownership group will change hands, so the Orioles will be sold. Now currently they're owned by the Angelos family. Right now, mainly John Angelos is kind of the point man on that, the son. Now the father before that, Peter Angelos. That's kind of probably when Baltimore was in their better days, but right now at the age of 94, and I guess this to both of them just want to take a step back. This with Angelos, maybe he's just declining health in his last years. I guess they just want to part ways with that, and it will be now sold to a new group. And I'm sure Baltimore Oriole fans, couldn't be happy enough. And then again, they were quite aggravated with the Angelos family. Now, the organization has turned the tide a little bit. It really started towards the end of 2022, and they kind of made it a little spurt for the last wild card spot. Came up a little bit short there, but then burst onto the scene in 2023 with a nice 101-win season and doing with a nice, good, young, homegrown team, which is obviously the ideal situation like to do. And that's, of course, after them just being terrible for so many years. Then eventually what happens is that you get a lot of good draft picks, and then finally it all comes together, and that's kind of what you're seeing right now with the Houston Astros. That started, with them just being terrible for so many years, and then able to get the good young talent put together, and then now they just keep churning out good teams season after season. Well, it seems like that's probably what the Baltimore Orioles would also like to do. But the problem with them is they've been also have a problem attracting a lot of free agent talent, especially in the pitching department. A lot of pitchers does not want to go there. And this is an organization back when Father Peter Angelos was running things a little bit more. They used to bring in and track top talent. You had like the likes of Eddie Murray, free agents like Albert Bell, Rafael Palmeiro. Players used to want to go there to play, and it just seems like since the late 90s, that hasn't been the case. They have a lot of trouble. I remember they were trying to court A.J. Burnett when the Yankees were courting him in 2009, and especially, with pitchers, a lot of pitchers just don't want to go there to play just because, the Camden Yards is in a bandbox. So this new ownership group wants to take over now. The control person, quote unquote, is a gentleman by the name of David Rubenstein. He's a Baltimore Oriole fan, so you like that. Sort of like with the Mets and Stephen Code, you want the lead person to actually be a fan of the team as well and really invested and involved in it. But this is a ownership group which includes a lot of different entities and people and individuals, including former Baltimore Oriole great and Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. And you see a lot of this even with A-Rod. I think A-Rod owns like a piece of the Minnesota Timberwolves. You get a bunch of guys together like, hey, let's go buy a team, sure, and you light up cigars and stuff. So it seems to be the thing. The sale yet to be finalized, no really timetable yet, but supposedly there's going to be a meeting in Orlando next week where MLB, Major League Baseball, will be kind of get all the details. But the price is going to be $1.725 billion. And Rubenstein himself said they want to change the way they do things, spend more money, be able to attract free agents. And I'm sure if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan, it's music to ears, because right now you got a good, young, exciting team. But now if you could start adding a big couple of mercenaries to bring here as well to sort of put the cherry on top, all the more better there. So I'm sure Oriole fans are happy about that. And this does have implications on the Yankees because, really not, of course, not right now, but if in years past, you'd always look at those games on the calendar against the Orioles almost as easy wins, almost laugh it off. Well, obviously, that's not the case right now because Baltimore's pretty good, actually better than the Yankees until the Yankees prove otherwise. But if they start, if they got this good young team right now that won 101 games last season, and now they got an ownership group that's dedicated and they're going to start spending money again. The Angeloses haven't been spending hardly any money at all. That's, why really no one wants to play there as well. It's just, hey, I could sign a big deal, go there, but, who's my teammates? I got no one else here. Well, again, that all changes now. And if Baltimore becomes a legit franchise that's good every year, well, it's just more tougher for the Yankees. And you just look up and down the AL East. We know, yes, Boston overall has had a quiet offseason, but it's still Boston at some point. They could have bring in a few big players. We always know Toronto's right there. They maybe took a little step back last season, but they got a good young squad, and they're always on the Yankees' heels there. And of course, Tampa Bay, year after year, doesn't matter what the payroll is, they're always good. They're always like a 95-plus win team there. So you look at the AL East being, as it kind of was a little bit last season, it's the toughest division in baseball. You have two teams, Tampa and Baltimore, about 100-win teams last season. And now, if you have something now in the future where Baltimore is going to be good for the next 5 to 10 years, this makes it tougher on the Yankee. And this is a Yankee team where you're going to have a lot of aging stars. Judge is going to get older eventually. DJ's getting old. Stanton's getting old. I don't think Soto's here for the long term. And then, Cole's going to eventually start getting old, and as you're getting old, Orioles right now is sitting prime with a young team who are now going to probably have some money to bring in some big name players to supplement that. So it's definitely something that definitely it should be of concern for the Yankees. Now I mentioned at the top, the Yankees brought in a new pitcher, and this is Cashman's kind of been going around this little bringing a lot of finding players off the waiver wires, making little minor league deals and trades, as you want to call it, the bargain base, the dumpster diving, bargain basement deals, Dollar Tree signings, what do you want to call that? Well, the newest one now is Matt Gage, but he might be more than that meets the eye there. So comes from the Astros organization. Now, they had to designate for him for a sign because when they signed Josh Bader, they had to make a move on the 40-man roster, and I guess Cashman scooped him up. Now, in order to scoop him up, the Yankees had to make a cut to their 40-man roster, and they DFA'd Diego Castillo. So, I guess he was here for a week and a half. Hope you enjoyed your time in pinstripes to make room for Matt Gage. Now, I'm going to give you the background on him. Not a ton of major league experience. Only 30 years old. He's a native New Yorker from upstate New York. But over the past couple of seasons, only had 16 major league appearances for both the Toronto Blue Jays as well as the Houston Astros. And in that posted an ERA of 1.83, so an ERA under 2, which you like to see. But really, it's his numbers. And with that in mind also, with the ERA, also a 26% strikeout rate. So basically, this guy's striking out a little bit more than one out of every 4 batters he faces, he's striking out. So again, guy, it's a lefty who can get a lot of strikeouts, but you also got to look at his numbers last season in AAA. Very impressive, 39 strikeouts in 37.1 innings with a whip of 1.63. So again, he's a guy who pretty much strikes out one batter per inning there. So very impressive, and you can see why the Yankees would want to bring him in here. And now you look at the situation with him, Victor Gonzalez, who the Yankees got in the trade with the Dodgers, the former Dodger there, Nick Ramirez, who they already have, as well as Matt Crook. Now you got 4 lefties in consideration in spring training. You have these 4 options making peanuts, and you figure someone like Matt Gage could take the next step. Again, he was doing some good stuff last season in AAA. That's the deal on Matt Gage. Seems like he gets a lot of strikeouts, gets a lot of ground balls, and of course the native New Yorker, even though it's kind of upstate New York, which is almost like Canada in a way. And last but not least, it's the quote-unquote return of Greg Allen, even though he never really went anywhere. But he signs a deal with the Yankees, which, if he makes the majors, could be worth up to $1.1 million. Now, he has a bit of a funky contract. If the Yankees don't put him on the Major League roster by 2, time dates there, one will be by May 15th, one by June 15th. At some point before one of those dates, if he is not on the Major League roster, then another team could have put a claim into him, and if they do claim him, then they'll be able to claim him and snatch him off the Yankee roster there. So a little bit kind of weird there, and I'm not sure why the Yankees really went after him. Again, he's a nice piece player, but the Yankees pretty much have a whole plethora now of outfielders, so I don't really understand it. He is 30 years old, young, switch hitter, gives you that. Played 22 games for the Yankees last season. It was okay, but he's not something I won't see why the Yankees bother to bring back, especially when you have, like Trent Grisham, and of course you got Verdugo, and you got Soto out there, and then Everson Pereira floating around, and someone like Oswaldo Cabrera who could play both the outfield and the infield, and is a switch hitter himself. Again, I still don't see the need for this, and if he only makes that big money if he makes the Major League roster, which, maybe the Yankees are worried about, hey, look, maybe in spring training a couple guys like Trent Grisham might pull a hammy or tear an ACL, or who knows, and now I guess you have Greg Allen in your back pocket. So this probably could be someone who Cashman almost expects to be claimed from another team or could care less either way. So if you want to say that for it's an insurance policy, okay, but I don't really see the point of it. But nevertheless, Greg Allen never really went anywhere, but I guess he's back in pinstripes. So those are your 2 New York Yankees. So that's the episode. Baltimore Orioles will get a new ownership group, and I'm sure, such as Stevie Cohen wanted to put some money to the Mets. Seems like this David Rubenstein guy who's worth $4.6 billion wants to put some more money to the Orioles there. So it's just going to be some more headaches for the Yankees to look forward for the future. But for you, Your headache goes away if you subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't done it, subscribe to the podcast. And make sure you go over to YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Subscribe there as well. Catch you on the next one.